Level check. Welcome to Mustang Arena, where we are just now in the second quarter of basketball action between the Pine Ridge Panthers and the Apopka Blue Darters. We've been streaming the whole game on the NFHS network, but we just now gotten our YouTube live stream back online, had to dust off the cobwebs from last season, and we are back and ready to go.
So an 11-9 score in the second quarter, 7:15 remaining. The voice you just heard was Mark Barchi. Apopka with the 11, Pine Ridge with possession. I'm Neil Fisher. The drive through the lane. That's Canyon Powers, no dice. And Apopka will be looking to extend that lead as we get into the second quarter. From long range, no dice again, doing Windex work. And a couple of opportunities for Apopka unable to convert. So Pine Ridge looking to tie or at least take or maybe even take the lead. That's Simmons driving that lane into the corner. Powers can't find the range. And this is KJ Robinson, Darren Leith. And no basket. So it'll be Pine Ridge ball. Nobody here scoring in the second quarter. Still an 11-9 score. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night as we get the 2022-23 basketball season underway. First of two games tonight, third and four total for this event. The drive, the stop, pop, no drop. Ripping that rebound down was Lewis. Apopka at the other end. Over to Sibley. Bell. Over to Tepper, the big guy. Got range. Not going to shoot this time, though. Finds Bell. Unable to connect, but Tepper doing Windex work initially, but then held up. It'll be a jump ball. Possession arrow going to Pine Ridge. So Pine Ridge comes in off a just one of those nights. Everything that could have gone wrong did. They lost 85 to 19 to Wekiva. In the meantime, as we get the foul, and that will be number 4, Arvin Urena, the shooting guard, 5'11" junior. It's actually on Apopka. And Sam Bell committing the foul. It'll be Arvin Urena at the line. So that'll cut the lead to 11-10. Apopka defeating Tahopa Kaliga by 35-30 score. Obviously a low scoring affair. And Wekiva will take on Tahopa Kaliga. In our next game, roughly 20 minutes after the conclusion of this one, give both free throws to Urena, and we are tied at 11-11. Now the steal by Urena, the bounce pass, and swatted away at the last minute by Lewis. Lewis, excellent job on defense, getting back. This is the 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic. We are tied 11-all. Apopka in Pine Ridge, 5:39 remaining from Mustang Arena. loose ball. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us as we get the 2022-23 basketball season underway. And pretty much both these teams have played the way you expect them to. Their traditional makeup, that's Tepper from the range. Unable, short, doing Windex work is Acevedo. And so Pine Ridge with the opportunity to take their first lead of this game. Stop and go from Simmons. Ball out of bounds with 5:08 remaining. And it will remain with Pine Ridge. Yandriel Calo Ramos inbounds. Urena at the top of the key. And long range from Simmons. Splash! 14-11. Pine Ridge with their first lead of the game. 5 minutes remaining before halftime. Stop, pop, no drop from Bell. Loose ball picked up by Miller. And a turnover. So give Apopka's defense credit, forcing a couple of turnovers. Of course, Scott Williams, the coach at Apopka, if you're a Wekiva fan, he started the program here at Wekiva way back in 2007, and his teams are known for defense first, and certainly we're seeing that here tonight. 4:47 remaining, 14-11. Pine Ridge in the lead. They just took the lead on a tray from Seven Simmons going right wing. And so Bell will bring the ball up over to Tepper. 2-3 zone for Pine Ridge going against the motion offense. That's also a traditional staple of Scott Williams' coach teams. Tepper looking for the pass, goes down low to Marshall. The spin and making the withdrawal. 14-13. Pine Ridge still with the lead. Scramble. Could have been disaster for Pine Ridge. Simmons picks it up, but that does give Apopka defense the opportunity to create the turnover on the other end as Tepper swats at the ball and hits it off of the Pine Ridge player. So small stoppage in the action as Sam Bell brings the ball up. That's Tepper from 15, short. Oh, picking up that loose ball was Lewis, and then the pass over to Marshall, who makes his second layup. Couple of withdrawals for Marshall, and a 14-13 scored. 15-14 lead now. Popka back in front. And a travel call. Malachi Brave. 3:40 remaining. 15-14 lead for Apopka. Had 3 lead changes in the last minute and a half or so after Apopka had led up until that point. 3.5 remaining before halftime. Sam Bell will inbound the ball. Giovanni Austin with the guarding. Inbound to Marshall. And a nice easy deuce for Tepper. 17-14. Apopka extends that lead. Still one possession though. Simmons one-on-one with Leith. Into the right wing, down to the corner. Rotation to the right side, and that was Lard trying to drive that lane, make something happen, and instead he commits the foul, so a turnover. 3 minutes remaining, 17-14 lead for Apopka. They've scored 6 in a row now. Quiet 6 as Bell brings it up. And no dice for Morgan, but Apopka draws the foul underneath the basket. And we're going to get a couple of free throws from Philip Tepper. So Tepper, the senior this year, played 27 games last season, 8.7 points per game, 3.7, actually a total of 5 rebounds. As he makes that first free throw. And pretty much he is a illustration, the perfect example of the kind of player that Scott Williams likes to use, between about 6'2 and 6'6", plays multiple position, doesn't do anything particularly in terms of standing out, but he does everything very solidly. And 8 in a row for Apopka. Opportunity to break that streak, though, now is Yandriel Kalo Ramos, the 6 foot senior guard, goes to the line. 2:54 remaining. First of 2 games tonight, which will conclude the 2022 Wekiva Preseason Classic. Wekiva will take on Tehopa Kaliga in the second game. And score both of those for Kalo Ramos. Breaks an 8-point run for Apopka. They still have the 19-16 lead as we drop under 3 minutes remaining in the second quarter. So Leith sets up the offense, picks up the pick. Bell now, stop, pop, and no drop from 18. Doing Windex work is Marshall, as things got pretty rowdy underneath that basket. And possession will remain with Apopka. Bell with the inbound. 2.5 remaining. 19-16 lead for Apopka. They took that lead on the strength of an 8-0 run midway through this second quarter. Bell will inbound again. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. And ball will remain with Apopka. So a third consecutive inbound. Bell again with the pass. And they'll go way out to the half-court line. Morgan receives it, swings it down low to Leith. He comes up to the top now, over to Marshall. In that right corner, back to Morgan. And a couple more passes to Bell, over to Marshall. Wekiva taking its time in terms of shooting that ball. They're going to try to go low now with Marshall. No dice, nothing doing there. So they kick it back out. 2 minutes remaining. Down low and kissing the glass. Give the deuce to Vaughn. 21-16 now. Apopka leading at the other end. Lard took advantage of Apopka sleeping. So exchanging a couple baskets when all said and done. 1:45 before halftime. 21-18 lead for Apopka, as they now go against that 2-3 zone of Pine Ridge. Under Chisholm, they're known for that. And there you see the dividends. The turnover, Lard picks up that loose ball. Score the deuce, making the withdrawal in the contact. 21-20. And, of course, with Lard at the free throw, opportunity to tie the game up once again. Had 2 ties so far tonight. Apopka has led for the majority of this game. Pine Ridge took the lead a couple of times midway through that second quarter. Then the 8-0 run, as that was a rebound from Marshall. Doing Windex work. And now out to the corner, nothing doing there. 1:15 before halftime. Apopka looking for that shot. And as we expect to, a staple of Scott Williams' run teams, as that ball goes into Marshall, and he will get whacked. He gets whacked, and let's see who the foul is on. So both teams in the bonus now with 1:07 remaining. Is that 3 with the foul? 30? 40. Giovanni Austin committing the foul, which sends Marshall to the line. Scores that first free throw. So as I was saying, a staple of a Scott Williams run team. You see a lot of balance between going inside and outside. Say outside shooting and inside power. And so far, it's paid dividends in the positive way, 22-20 lead. And now some trouble for Pine Ridge. They settle down 1-on-2 and score the deuce for Yandriel Kalo Ramos. Nice shot, great body control. As the lead now down to 1 point, 23-22. Sibley bringing that ball up, passes off to Marshall. Over to Bracey. And interception. Well, not an interception. Sibley tracks that ball down, but certainly they're going to have to reset. Nope. They're going to just go transition. Sibley unable to drop the deuce. And Kalo Ramos at the other end, he's trying to show Apopka how it's done, transition. And he won't get the basket. And he actually is going to commit the foul as well. So a turnover, 30 seconds remaining. Apopka with the 23-22 lead. First of 2 games tonight here from Mustang Arena on the campus of Wekiva High School. Coming up next, Wekiva, the host school, will take on Tahopa-Kalaga all the way from Osceola County. This is their first appearance in this event. 20 seconds remaining, down low, and making withdrawal is Hankerson. So a 3-point lead. Opportunity for Pine Ridge to take that last shot, and they won't, but Lard will go to the free throw line. And it's Morgan committing the foul. So 9.7 seconds remaining. 25-22 lead for Apopka. Apopka about 5 miles to the northwest side of Wekiva High School. Of course, Wekiva on the southeast side of Apopka, right next to the 429. Apopka, the older school, one of the original Metro Conference schools. They're on the northwest side of town, just a couple miles before the Lake County border. 7 seconds, 1-point lead for Apopka certainly would help their cause to go in with some momentum. And that is Sibley short, clinks off the front rim. So Apopka leads for most of that first half, all but about 45 seconds, but the lead was never more than 5 points. And when all said and done at halftime, a 25-24 lead. We'll be back with the second half, first game of 2 tonight, 2022 Wekiva Mustang Preseason Classic. burner, as Keith Jackson would say. 25-24 lead for Apopka over Pine Ridge. Apopka in the white, Pine Ridge in the dark jerseys. And ball goes out of bounds on the first possession. It will remain with Pine Ridge, though. So quick look at your leading scorers. Tepper with 9, Marshall with 8 for Apopka. That's Lewis with the interception, and they turn that ball over right away. That's Arena picking it up out to Simmons. Clanks off the rim, and doing Windex work is Leith, the guard, and he'll also draw a foul. So on the Pine Ridge side, Lard and Kalo Ramos with 8 points apiece. And the foul was committed against Kalo Ramos. Apopka took a 11-9 lead at the end of the first quarter. And Pine Ridge outscored Apopka 15-14 again, 25-24. Lead start the second half as Tepper runs into a double team and commits the turnover, the travel. Give Pine Ridge credit. Both these teams, both these coaches, known for defense first. Of course, Scott Williams on Apopka and Matt Chisholm on Pine Ridge. Both these teams playoff teams last year, and that is very common among the two of them. As that ball comes loose, Kalo Ramos picks it up into the corner to Wilson Beck, who drains the rain. First points of the second half, and it puts Pine Ridge ahead for the third time tonight, 27-25. At the other end, no dice for Leith. Couldn't get it to drop the right way through the cylinder. And Simmons brings the ball up now. One-on-one against Dangerfield. Over to Kalo Ramos, working one-on-one with Marshall. And Marshall commits the foul, whacked the wrist. Apopka led for the majority of this game, all but about 45 seconds in that first half. However, the lead was never more than 5. Pine Ridge staying within a couple of possessions. As we're a minute and a half into the third quarter, 27-25 lead for Pine Ridge with possession. The drive from Simmons, the pass, and the turnover. Now, actually, the ball does stay with Pine Ridge. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. Coming up after this game, about 20 minutes. As Ed, give the credit to Marshall and score the deuce. +1. And that was actually Dangerfield that tipped the ball loose. And give the points to Lewis. Slashed through that lane and cashed in the turnover. So a 27-all score, and make that 28-27 as nothing but net on the free throw. Off the rim, looked like it had the lid. Timber doing Windex work, and too long a pass. Another turnover. So very much what you expect in the preseason game. The second time live action for both these teams. We've seen some good, seen some bad. Both these teams like to get up and down the court, not nearly as quick as maybe the top 10%, but certainly not a deliberate style as we might see a little bit more of in the second game. That second game, Wekiva, the host school, will be taking on Tohopa-Kalaiga, making the trip from Osceola County. And so Pine Ridge trailing by a point, 28-27, bringing the ball up. Simmons, he'll take it himself and whips through that lane and draws the foul. Seen quite a few fouls, too. Both teams will reach the bonus about 2.5 minutes in that first half. Foul committed by Elijah Lewis. So far, 3 fouls on Apopka, 2 on Pine Ridge. We're only 2 minutes into the second half. Inbound to Lard. Again, the leading scorer at halftime, along with Kalo Ramos. Both had 8. And speaking of Kalo Ramos, he puts that ball on the ground. Tie ball. And possession goes to Apopka. And that was Marshall who hit the deck for Apopka. and instigated that turnover. So now full court defense for Pine Ridge. Did not see that in the first half. Popka no problem breaking it. Tepper into Marshall, goes to work on Wilson Beck, a whistle with 5:45 remaining in a turnover. So Pine Ridge last year, 19-8 record, losing to Lake Highland Prep in the Sweet 16. That's the regional semis. So obviously looking to improve on that. Score the deuce, +1. The drive, the slash, the dash, and Kalo Ramos will go to the line. Opportunity to put Pine Ridge back ahead with 5:39 in the third quarter. And on the other side, Scott Williams of Popka posting a 19-9 record last season. They lost in the first round of the Class 7A playoffs to Lake Highland Prep, of course, the state powerhouse. Always expected to make long runs into the playoffs. That's Lake Highland Prep. Apopka losing to them. And no dice for Leith, doing the Windex work and coming back the other way. Splash! Score the tray for Wilson Beck. A couple of trays for him in the second half. And Pine Ridge, 7 in a row, 32-28 lead. Down low, the hop stop. Gets the roll, +1. That'll be Leith, the senior. So 32-30 lead for Pine Ridge. Leith at the free throw lane for Apopka. It's been a good game. Apopka has led for the majority of this game. Never had a lead for more than 5. A 7-0 run, which was just snapped, put Pine Ridge ahead. And now Leith will not be able to cut it down, but doing Windex works. That was Dangerfield, but he couldn't get the ball to roll in. And so an opportunity to tie the game goes by the wayside with 5 minutes remaining. 32-30 lead for Pine Ridge. Popka, man-on-man coverage. They've been in man-on-man coverage throughout the game. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. I'm Neil Fisher, bringing you the call from Wekiva High School on the southeast side of Apopka. Ball comes loose a couple of times out to the top. That's Urena. Decides not to shoot the tray as Apopka's defense extends. On the right side, one-on-one against Lewis. Gives the ball up to Austin. Now back up to the top of the key. Stop, pop in, drop. Score the tray for Simmons. 35-30, 4:20 remaining. Popka needs to answer now. They did not have to do that in the first half as they led for most of the game. The turnover committed by Bell. Pine Ridge picking up the pace, going to a more fast-paced game more frequently and score the deuce. Kissing the glass is Lard, 37-30. And the turnover, Lewis stepping in front. Wilson Beck like a defensive back. Can't get the ball to drop, though, so Popka dodges the proverbial bullet. And will they be able to do it twice in a row? Same play. Wilson Beck trying to go coast to coast. Not only does he score, but he gets the +1. So turnovers. The story of last couple of minutes, Wilson Beck doing his best imitation of a defensive back, jumping the route, so to speak, stepping in front of a couple of bounce passes. In a 14-2 run now by Pine Ridge in this third quarter, 39-30 lead for Wilson Beck, the 6'3" senior. Unable to get the free throw to drop, though. That's 9 points for him. Tepper trying to answer at the other end. Tipped. Loose ball. Gobbled up by Bracey. No dice. And Tepper doing Windex work. Bringing that bottle of cleaning equipment cleaning fluid. So does not get the roll, but he will go to the line. Opportunity to cut into that 39-30 lead. And that does also stop Pine Ridge's momentum, which they've been building for about 3 minutes now. Again, a 14-2 run by Pine Ridge has not only allowed them to surge into the lead, but establish a 9-point lead with 3.5 remaining in the third quarter. And Tepper gets 1 of 2. And that'll cut the lead to 8. Wilson Beck brings it up. Pine Ridge certainly upping the pace up and down the court. And the foul on Donovan Dangerfield. So also Popka's committed a number of fouls, far more than they had in that first half here in the second half. That's also helped Pine Ridge put together that 14-3 run now. The inbound to Simmons. Opportunity for Pine Ridge to get that lead to double digits, but they will not be able to, as Lard makes contact. So now Apopka, they've also slowed down the pace somewhat. 3 minutes remaining, trailing 39-31 from Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs, who will take to the court against Tahopa Kaliga about 20 minutes after the conclusion of this game. And there's the number one reason why Pine Ridge is in a 8-point lead. Turnovers from Apopka. Of course, this is the preseason game, the second for both teams. Regular season starts next week. And as the ball goes hot potato, Apopka picking it up. That was Marks. And another turnover. 3 turnovers in the last 4 possessions. And certainly Apopka's bench is not looking nearly as jovial, nearly as energetic as it was in the first half. And Apopka does maintain possession of the ball. So they'll be able to cut into that lead opportunity. Tepper, ball rips off that front. And the rebound initially went to Adam Bracey, but he committed the foul in order to do so. So score remains 39-31, 2:32 remaining. And yes, now Apopka has committed 3 turnovers in the last 4 possessions. And Coach Williams doesn't like what he's seeing and says, let's take a timeout. 39-31, a 14-2 run has put Pine Ridge in the lead with 2:32 remaining from Mustang Arena. Back to live action from Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. The first of 2 games tonight, Preseason Classic. The Wekiva Preseason Classic. Pine Ridge with a 39-31 lead, and that is Travis Jackson at the line, unable to extend that lead. And no Windex work for Elijah Lard. Yes, it was Windex work. So Elijah Lard does get the rebound, and he's also fouled. That's Adam Bracey who commits the foul. That's actually 4 now on Bracey with 2.5 remaining in the third quarter. Scored the first of 2 free throws for Lard. Lard and Kalo Ramos, your leading scorers at halftime with 8 points each. And Phil Tepper comes back in. Lard last year scoring 2.7 points per game, 1.5 rebounds, and half an assist. So that was as a sophomore, seeing more action this year as a junior, as you would expect. 40-31. Tepper, left wing extended, rolls off the rim. Doing Windex work, though, is Marshall, and makes the withdrawal. Actually, that was a finger roll. No bank involved. So much needed deuce for Apopka to stem some of that tide that Pine Ridge has built up. A 14-2 run midway through this third quarter put Pine Ridge in the lead. And now Pine Ridge committing the turnover. 2 minutes remaining before in the third quarter. Marshall inbound the ball for Apopka. And the quick move down the lane, slash and dash, and that was a withdrawal from Leith using the bank. Under 2 minutes now, 40-35 lead for Pine Ridge. And they need to get a couple of points now to stem the tide that Apopka's created. Certainly not a 14-2 run, but they've cut the lead to 5 from 9. And you can see more energy now throughout that Apopka team. Oh, that's going to be an air ball. And Pine Ridge catches a break. Chase Marks would have been better served to just let that ball go out of bounds. He tried to corral it right along the sidelines. So 1:30 remaining, 40-35 lead for Pine Ridge. They've led for most of the second half. From the corner, drain the rain. That was Wilson Beck, his third tray of this third quarter. Now Marshall trying to use his body to get inside. The Pine Ridge defense has none of it. They hunker down, and the foul. So a 7-point lead for Pine Ridge. Opportunity to get it back up to 9, which was the largest of this that Pine Ridge has enjoyed in this game. Apopka led for the majority of the first half, but about 45 seconds. And Pine Ridge, as they commit the turnover, have a whistle after the turnover. Put together a 14-2 run midway through this third quarter. Foul on Pine Ridge. And that put him in the lead about 6 minutes. With about 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter, 2 minutes into the game. Under a minute now as Tepper draws the foul. He was whacked. And as Travis Jackson, the 6'3" junior forward, committing the foul. Tepper will go to the line with 10 points and give him 11 as he gets the roll. Iron Kind to Phillip. Tepper the leading scorer at halftime, but again, only 9 points, but only 2 in this third quarter. Make that 3 and a couple of much-needed points for Apopka. Cut that lead back down to 5. Interception by Bell. Loose ball now. It's going to be ruled a jump ball, and possession will go to Pine Ridge. So Pine Ridge getting a couple breaks in the last minute or so. What could have been turnovers, and Apopka building on some momentum does not materialize. And the whistle. Possession will remain with Apopka. So Bell will inbound the ball. He finds Marshall. Over to Leith. Leith drives that lane. Stop, pop. No drop, doing Windex work. Score the big and one. Zamar Vaughn posting up that body of his. Vaughn Zamar, 6'1", 175 body. Excellent job of getting between the ball and the defender. 41.8 seconds remaining, a 3-point game with Zamar at the line. And no problem on the free throw. So a 2-point lead now for Pine Ridge, a 7-0 run by Apopka. As we drop to 35 seconds in the third quarter. This is Simmons going one-on-one with Bell. Drops it off to Lard, and Tepper gets that hand in the way. Tepper, the 6'5" senior, using his height to his advantage. Ball remains with Pine Ridge, though, 28.6 seconds. 2-point lead. Into the corner. Nice job of getting that ball back up to the top. Lard, the Simmons, sets up and drains the rain. Back to a 5-point lead. Apopka, if they so choose, can take the last shot. Certainly would help them out momentum-wise to score points at the buzzer. Marshall cuts through that lane, can't get the withdrawal, slides off the rim, 3 seconds remaining. Can Pine Ridge get a shot off? No. And so the last action, last points of that third quarter, the tray by Simmons, and that puts the lead back up to 5 points, 45-40. Once again, Pine Ridge with the lead. This is the 2022 Wekiva Preseason Classic from Wekiva High School. And welcome back to Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs, the 2022 Wekiva Mustang Preseason Classic. We've had a good one, first of two tonight. Pine Ridge in the black with the 45-40 lead to the crosstown rival Apopka Blue Darters, make that 45-42. Apopka led 25-24 at halftime. Pine Ridge put together a 14-2 run midway through that third quarter, outscoring in total during that third quarter 21-15, and that's where we stood, 45-40 as the third quarter began. So now 45-42 as Apopka opened up the scoring in the third quarter. And so Elijah Lard will go to the line with that 3-point lead being held by Pine Ridge. 13 points for Lard. The junior, 6'2" swing man, guard in forward, and that other voice you heard was Mark Barchi. I'm Neil Fisher. And second free throw does not throw. Iron Unkind score the rebound to Lewis. And so we do thank you if you joined us at the beginning. We did have some audio technicality trouble. Again, it's the preseason, so we're working out the kinks on the broadcasting side as well.
We just had to dust the cobwebs off of what we had going last season. Turned out that one of our presets didn't save, so we had to rebuild it while the game was in progress.
Nonetheless, as I mentioned, this has been a good game, back and forth. Lewis unable to drop the deuce, and he comes back and will draw the foul. 7:07 remaining. 46-42 lead for Pine Ridge. And so Lewis will go to the line. Last year as a junior, 2.5 points per game, 3.1 rebounds. So, of course, Coach Williams, the Apopka coach, well known, won the 97 state championship, Class 4A with Mount Dora. He always has a habit of getting his teams to play their best, peaking as we head into the preseason. And it really looks like this team is going to be no different as the lead now 46-44. A bunch of guys who were on the team last year did not see a lot of time, though. No significant time as the tray does not drop. Hot potato, Lewis comes up with it, finally corralling it. But all these players for Apopka, as they try the tray, both teams taking the tray, neither dropping. Apopka, immensely talented, just lacking the experience of playing at the varsity level and certainly in critical roles and critical times.
Foul called against Donovan Dangerfield, his fourth, the team's 10th. At the line, shooting double bonus for Pine Ridge, number 12, Xander Wilson Beck.
And as you just heard Mark say, who's also our public address announcer here at Mustang Arena, that's 10 team fouls for Apopka. Pine Ridge actually has 9, so both teams will be shooting double bonus the rest of the way. And the same situation in the first half. A lot of fouls committed in this game. Of course, it's not unusual in the preseason, hence the reason you do play the preseason, to get the kinks out. And Lard ripping the rebound down, going among the big guys, the tree, and a second consecutive foul on this possession. And that's on Philip Tepper.
Philip Tepper is called on his fourth personal foul. At the line, shooting 2, Elijah Laird.
So now 2 players for Apopka with 4 fouls, actually 3 players, Bracey, Lewis, and Tepper. They've scored 19 of the 44 points for Apopka between the 3 of them, and Coach Williams takes Tepper out, and David Marshall comes in as Lard continues to shoot the free throws, unable to connect on the first. And the second, Marshall ripping that rebound down. Quick outlet to Bell. Oh, beautiful bounce pass down low to Bracey, who makes the withdrawal.
To Bracey.
6.5 remaining. Apopka on a 8-1 run. We are tied at 46 off from Mustang Arena.
30-second timeout called by the Panthers.
The 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic. Apopka Pine Ridge, 46 all from Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs on the southeast side of Apopka. First of 2 games tonight. This is the 2022 Wekiva Mustang Preseason Classic as Apopka continues with possession. And so Apopka on an 8-1 run. That's Hankerson. And no, he will not get credit for that basket. Excuse me, that was Bracey.
No basket. Offensive charge is called against Adam Bracey. Charge taken by Urena.
And as you just heard Mark say, that was Arvin Urena who's going one-on-one with Bracey and did not budge and drew the foul. So 6:21 remaining. Apopka led for all but about 45 seconds in the first half. And the opposite here in the second half. Pine Ridge leading for all but about 45 seconds. But an opportunity to take the lead. Strain the rain from Lee. The turnover, Sibley getting in front of that pass. Bell. At the other end, it's Wilson Beck with the soft finger roll in the deuce.
Xander Wilson Beck adds 2 for the Panthers.
50-49.
Answered by Elijah Lewis.
So 3 lead changes in about 15 seconds. And certainly, Mark, you can feel not only the pace, but the energy picking up here at Mustang Arena. 5:40 remaining. As rims in and out, Lard unable to drop the tray. And a whistle on the rebound action. At Von Zamar committing the foul.
Push called against Von Zamar. That's his second. At the line, shooting 2, Xander Wilson Beck.
So 51-48 lead for Apopka. A 12-3 run by the Blue Darters, putting them back in the lead. They led for most of the first half, all but about 45 seconds. Then a 14-2 run midway, well, maybe starting about 7 minutes in the third quarter, put Pine Ridge into the lead. Couple free throws converted. And now a 51-50 lead for Apopka as they go to work. Quick shot. That was Leith. Rims in and out. And now at the other end, Carlo Ramos. A little stop, a little bit out of control, but makes the withdrawal.
Basket by Yandriel Carlo Ramos.
And now 4 points in a row for Pine Ridge as they go back into the lead. Soft floating touch.
David Marshall for the Darters.
And Apopka back in the lead, 53-52. So only saw maybe 6 lead changes throughout the first, up to the 6-minute mark. We've seen 6 lead changes in the last 2 minutes. The long outlet to Lard, one man to beat. Beats him, but can't get the ball to drop. And in the attempt to clean up the boards, a whistle. 4:46 remaining. 53-52 lead for Apopka. And that is Yvonne Zamar.
Foul called against Darters number 33, Vaughn Zamore, his third. At the line, shooting 2 once again, Xander Wilson Beck.
So Wilson Beck at the line. Opportunity to put his team in the lead. Now it's an opportunity to tie the score. Wilson Beck with 13 points. And of course, as you would expect in the preseason game, the fouls are mounting. Wilson Beck, though, has really made his presence felt in the second half, and he only has 2 fouls. So certainly look for Wilson Beck as he ties the game to be a name called quite a bit here in the last 4.5 minutes. And the floating leaner for Leith.
Darren Leith.
As Apopka goes back into the lead, 55-53. Along that baseline, blocked, rejected by Marshall, who then cleans up the rebound. Nice skip and a hop to get by the defense by Bell, but better defense on that left wing by Pine Ridge. That's Urena, unable to drop the deuce. And so Apopka with the 2-point lead will go to work. And now they're going to settle into the half-court offense, but
timeout, Blue Darters.
But before they
full timeout called by Apopka. Before
they set up, a timeout called by Coach Williams. 55-53, Apopka in the lead. A back and forth fourth quarter from Mustang Arena. And the battle rages on for Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Apopka with possession. 3 lead over Pine Ridge as we drop under 4 minutes. The first of 2 games tonight, the 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic. That's Philip Tepper. Splash!
Philip Tepper for 3.
And the lead back up to 5 now. 2 possessions for Apopka. Wilson Beck brings it up for Pine Ridge. Had about 6 lead changes through the first 26 minutes. No dice, no answer for Pine Ridge. That was Wilson Beck. He's had 3 trays, but unable to connect there. We've had roughly 6 lead changes in the next 2 minutes from the 6-minute to 4-minute mark. And the soft floating 18-footer from Leith.
Leith for two.
And now a 60-53 lead for Apopka. And that's Lard hitting the deck on the rebound attempt. 3:07 remaining. So what was a 7-point lead for Pine Ridge has now turned into a 7-point lead for Apopka, and a timeout called. A full timeout. A 60-53 lead held by Apopka over Pine Ridge. That's Pine Ridge unable to get the tray. That was Simmons launching. This is the first of two games tonight from Mustang Arena, the 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic.
That's Donovan Dangerfield's fifth personal foul, and he retires from the game.
The 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic. And as you heard Mark just say, Dangerfield committing his fifth foul. So he will be on the bench the rest of the way. Kalo Ramos at the line, unable to convert the free throw. Certainly would have helped the Pine Ridge cause. Saw about 6 lead changes between 6 minutes and 4 minutes in this fourth quarter. Since then, it's been all Apopka. As they've gone on an 11-4 run, make that 13-4, the soft floater in the deuce.
Delay of game warning called on the Blue Darters.
2:43 remaining, a 9-point lead now for Apopka. Certainly looking like they're playing their best when they should be as we close out this game. Trailing by as many as 7 at the beginning of this fourth quarter. The rejection from Marshall. Tepper picks up that loose ball. Quick pass to Leith, who leads the charge and makes
Leith
the
from
withdrawal.
Tepper for two.
At the other end, Lard trying to cut into what's now an 11-point lead.
Traveling. Darters ball.
So not only is Apopka playing its best on the offensive side, but defense as well, forcing that turnover. And now they're going to probably slow down, go to a more deliberate pace in terms of shooting the ball, certainly bringing the ball up just as quick as they were before. Nice passing, give and go, and the withdrawal from Marshall.
Marshall for two.
13-point lead now, 2 minutes remaining, turnover, and certainly it's looking very unlikely for Pine Ridge to pull out this victory. The Apopka run here in the fourth quarter.
30-second timeout called by the Panthers.
Apopka spurting into the 66-53 lead, the 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic. 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic from Mustang Arena, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. 2 minutes remaining, actually 1:45 now, and certainly the Apopka Blue Darters with the 13-point lead in possession, making the withdrawal, third consecutive layup.
David Marshall.
It looks like Apopka finding its mojo and finding its best game at the end of this game. They trailed by as many as 7 in the early stages of the fourth quarter. Since then, it's been all Apopka. Roughly six lead changes between 6 and 4 minutes remaining. But Apopka, again, getting into that exchange of lead after trailing by 7 and then a 8-0 run. And they have been in the lead since then. And now a 15-point lead with possession. Of course, Apopka, if they are able to hold on, this will be their second consecutive victory. They beat Tahopa Kalaga in the first game, very first game of the 2022-23 season, 35-30, and now with 1:05, Apopka's going to hold on to that ball. Nice play there by Pine Ridge. Wilson Beck be able to get a couple of deuce. Nope, air ball, and Marshall grabbing that loose ball. The foul, 53.6 seconds remaining.
Foul called against Panthers, number 12, Xander Wilson Beck. That's his third, the team's 10th. At the line, shooting 2 for the Darters, David Marshall.
So as you would expect, a staple of Scott Williams' coach team talked about defense first. They like to play man-to-man. They go motion offense. A team that's always, most of the players between about 6'1", 6'5", they play a variety of roles and a variety of styles. They don't do anything in terms of standing out, but they do everything solidly. And we've seen that tonight. But another staple is balanced scoring, as 3 players have scored at least 15 points. Leith and Tepper, 15, and then David Marshall, who really didn't score until about midway through the second with 18. And so we wrap up the first of 2 games tonight. Only question now is what the final score is going to be. Apopka led for most of the first half, all but about 45 seconds. A 14-2 run by Pine Ridge in the third quarter put them into the lead, but Apopka had the last say with a blistering run starting about 6 minutes into that fourth quarter. Had about 2-minute period up until about 4 minutes remaining. Roughly 6 lead changes, and then Apopka putting together a double-digit run, as that'll probably be their last deuce of the game. Tepper with the score.
Tepper with 2 more.
And so Apopka, with that momentum, surged into the lead, and they have held it since about 4 minutes remaining. Now 70-53, 8.3 seconds remaining, and they'll dribble out this clock. Tepper with the inbound. So a quick reminder, as your final score, the Apopka Blue Darters 70, the Pine Ridge Panthers 53. In about 20 minutes, we will conclude the final game of the 2022 Wekiva Mustangs Preseason Classic. Wekiva will take on Tahopa Kalaga. And now, to close us out for this game, Mark Barchi.
That takes us to the end of Game 3, and the fourth quarter belongs to the Blue Darters. They finish strong with a 70-53 win to get us started here on our second night of the 2022 Wekiva Men's Basketball Preseason Classic. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to support your Panther and Blue Darter athletes, or for tuning in on YouTube or the NFHS Network. Don't go anywhere. We've got one more game to wrap up the 2022 Preseason Classic, and it's coming up next. Your hosts, the Wekiva Mustangs, will take on the Tahopa Kalaga Tigers coming up next, and that will also be on both YouTube and the NFHS Network. If you are joining us online, we want to remind you that we have a separate live stream for each game. And so we will join you at the next live stream coming up in just a few minutes. We do want to thank our friends at Wekiva TV Broadcast Production for their assistance with the video aspects of tonight's game under the direction of Wekiva Broadcast Production Director Keith Dickerson. And we thank all of you for joining us. We hope that we will see you in about 15 minutes on our next live stream on YouTube or the NFHS Network. Again, that'll be Wekiva versus Tehopa-Kaliga. For Neil Fisher, this is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, thanking you for joining us and hoping that you will subscribe before you go. This has been a presentation of Wekiva High School Athletics in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. We'll see you in a few minutes. Until then, good night from Mustang Arena.